In this video, we're going to be talking about how to insert three very important things: the table of contents, the table of figures, and something that's normally called the list of tables, but sometimes is called table of tables as well. You have to set up your document appropriately before Word can automatically create these things for you. Now, you never want to make these manually. It is possible to do if you format it right. But the problem is that as soon as you do something manually in Microsoft Word, it can't auto-update. So if you modify anything in your document, you'll have to go through the entire document, making sure that there are no mistakes in your tables or in your section headings. So let's not do that. Let's focus first on the table of contents. I need to format my document appropriately, and I'm going to show you how to do that. If I click in my document, and I'm in my Home tab in the ribbon, you'll see that this particular box is highlighted. It says Normal on it. Normal is just normal text. I say hello. This is what we would type a paragraph into. We don't want normal text for a table of contents, otherwise it would pick up all of our paragraphs. So we have to tell Microsoft Word that some of these formats are special. Microsoft Word's special table of content formatting is heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3. You usually don't want to do any more deep than that in terms of a table of contents, and Microsoft Word actually limits you right now to only 3 levels deep unless you tell it not to. And that's because otherwise your table of contents would just be far too long. So I made sure that all of my section headings are in heading 1. And if I click here, which is where my section heading is for the introduction, you'll see that I have heading number 1 highlighted. If I scroll down, I have heading number 1 for this background section, but underneath, if I click on Civi 123, it's a subsection heading, and it shows up as subsection heading. So now that I've made sure this is consistent, I can add a table of contents. Usually, when you do that, you want to put it at the top of the document, sometimes in what's called the front matter. I'm not going to be formatting like that today, so what I'm going to do instead is add in the table of contents right underneath the document's title. To do that, I need to go into the References tab. Then you'll see on the left of your screen you have something that says Table of Contents. If you click on that, you'll see a number of built-in automatic ones and one called the Manual Table. Don't click the Manual Table because you're going to have to fill it in yourself, and that means you're going to have to go through your document every single time to fix it. At the University of Waterloo, we don't have a particularly strong preference for whether you use something that says Contents or Table of Contents. The easiest solution is to simply use Contents. Reduce the words. If I click on this, then it will insert the table of contents exactly where my cursor was. Now, what happens if I add a new section? For instance, if instead of the introduction, I want to have something called Executive Summary. Microsoft Word will not automatically update the table of contents. Let me show you what I mean. First, it's a new section. So I go to the Home tab, and I use heading 1. And now I'll say Executive Summary. Now we've been talking about consistent formatting, and I like to have a line under my section headings. So I'm going to add that in by clicking here. But did you notice how the table of contents didn't update? What we need to do now is tell the table of contents, hey, there's a new section here. To do so, once you're done your writing, typically this is done towards the end of a document, you're going to click inside of the table of contents. And you should notice that there's a new menu showing up. Oh, my menu isn't showing up. So if I click outside and I click back in, there it is. And it says Update Table. I'm going to click on Update Table, and now it's giving me the option of, well, do you want to update the page numbers or the entire table? Unless you have an extremely large document, the processing time is minimal, and you always want to update the entire table. I click on OK, and you'll see my new section shows up as appropriate. If I take this section out, then again the table doesn't update, so I need to tell Microsoft Word to do that. Update Table. That's how you create a table of contents. When you're writing your reports, a very common mistake is to make a table of contents and then edit the report to add a new section in, or a new figure where all the page numbers are off. and then forget to update the table. You really shouldn't do that. Make sure at the last step before you submit, you update all of your tables. In the next video, we'll talk about how to make a table of figures and a table or a list of tables.